Here we are, another episode of Experience Andy Wines Live. We're going to talk about taking over those limiting self beliefs to face it while you make it. Couple things before we get started. Words Fucking Matter available on Amazon. Go pick up yourself a copy of the book if you haven't. And if you have picked up the copy of the book, I would love to see a review. I want to hear what you think about it. And if you're so excited, you want to leave a review, also email me, call me, text me. Let me know what you think. Challenge me if there's things in the books that you don't agree with. I want to be better by throwing my ideas against the world and seeing what does and does not stick. Second thing I want to do before we kick things off is take a moment of gratitude. One thing I've been practicing a lot recently is acknowledging what I am grateful for in this world. And it really helps fight the negative comparison that we have pre-built into our brains. It's how our operating system works. It's our lower lizard brain kicking in and our middle brain allowing fear to take over because we have this negative comparison, negative bias going into the world. So I want to take a moment to show some gratitude. This week, it sounds generic, and yet it's very true. I'm very thankful for my parents who have been my biggest fans and biggest supporters all through my life. And even now at almost 40 years old, I still talk to my parents almost daily, and they continue to support me as a man, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a boyfriend, to my girlfriend, all the titles that I am. My parents are huge supports of me. And it's that daily conversation I have with them where we really support each other that I'm very grateful for, because some of my greatest feelings are when my parents have questions, I'm now able to answer their questions and be a resource for them as they're getting older and I'm really entering the prime of my life, if you will. So that is what I'm grateful for. And every week I'll be talking about something I'm grateful for and really leaning into it, which is really important to me because I absolutely suffer from negative comparison. Or maybe I won't say suffer. I struggle with it. I definitely let the negative things take over my perception of the world, which definitely hurts my ability to have optimism and see the better things in the present and in the future. All right, we're going to be talking about facing it while you make it. This came from this old adage of fake it till you make it. I had to really think about this word. Fake it till you make it. And I was like, wow, is that some bullshit? Why fake the funk? You are who you are. I talk about in the hustle, the struggle, the grind. You endure the hustle as you're going up the hill. You embrace the struggle because it is in that discomfort. It is in that struggle. It is on the peak of the mountaintop when you're going to have to adapt the most. And it's in the enjoyment of the grind as you enjoy yourself, you're facing your challenges. You're not faking it. You're not talking about climbing the mountain. You're not thinking about the next challenge. You're facing it. I heard Gary Vee say this years ago. Face it till you make it. Like, that's some bullshit. And I loved what he said. And then I took it a step further. Instead of saying face it till you make it, while you make it. Face it while you make it. Because now there's an element of time. You're not going to be the greatest day one. So what reality do you have to face? What is the greatest threat to you from the outside? What is your greatest not strength? I was about to say weakness. However, I don't acknowledge that word. What is something within you that's not a strength that's limiting your ability to grow right now? Face that reality while you build the life you want to build. And so as I think about this, it ties directly into my book. So I'm going to do something I haven't done on this show yet. I'm going to jump into and present the Words Fucking Matter presentation, because that will get us closer to what I'm talking about. I've already written about it. I've already talked about it. So instead of reinventing the wheel, let's use some visual aids to make this happen. Okay, Show Up Naked. One of the many catchy titles to chapters within my book, Words Fucking Matter. All right, here's the deal. There's the old Cherokee fable, right? There are two wolves inside of you. One that operates out of love, one that operates out of fear. There's an abundance and there's a scarcity. It's very clear. And the grandson says to the grandfather, which one wins? And the grandfather says, the one that you feed. They're always going to be inside you, and yet the one that wins is the one that you feed. When you feed into your anxieties and your fears and your doubts and your scarcity, that will grow. And then your brain will go down this track and this path of, okay, it's there. I'm going to keep assuming I'm going to fail at this next thing. Versus when you take the time, you're intentional, you respond to situations, and you feed the wolf within you that has an abundance mindset, a love mindset. When you feed that wolf, then you'll see more abundance. You'll see more opportunity in this world. And so the challenge I see often, people will either completely dismiss, right? They're on the righteous path of focusing on the good. However, they dismiss or brush things on the rug that they might not love about themselves, or the things that they struggle with. So this is what we talk about in my book. We jump right into it here, where we need to do a few things. We need to acknowledge the limiting belief. We need to question it. What validity is there? What depth, what substance is there? Challenge it, and then ultimately change it. Change that mindset. So I do this in my book. Let's, for example, financials. People struggle with money, myself included. I've struggled with money throughout my life. When I was broke, I struggled. When I had a bunch, I struggled. And I've also not struggled in between when I was in those two places. However, I've heard a lot of people say something to the effect of, I never make responsible money choices. So let's go back to what we say, acknowledge the belief. Okay, you do not make responsible money choices. Question it. What does that mean to you? Because some people may say, I spend $100 on unnecessary things every month, and that's grotesque. And somebody else will spend $1,000. It's relative, right? Do you give yourself a budget? I know years ago when I used to bartend, I would give myself $100 every Friday. I would take $100 out of whatever money I had. Everything else went in the shoebox in the closet. I would take $100, and that was my spending cash all week. And when it ran out, I was done. If it ran out by Saturday night from a Friday night bartending shift, I was done until Friday. That was it. It was $100 cash. There'd be other times where it'd be the next Friday. I'd still have cheddar in my pocket because I didn't go out that week. That was fine. $100 on random shit that I'm not going to look back and kick myself about. So now question it. What does responsible money choices mean to you? I know me, when I've struggled with money, it's because I had a credit card and I didn't see that. I didn't think about it. So it wasn't that I was making responsible choices with my money. I wouldn't even acknowledge that I was spending my money. So I question it. What is the best use of my money? What is the best way that I can use my money? And now challenge it. Is there depth? So really in that case, it wasn't that I had an issue with money. I had an issue with a credit card. So then I changed that mindset. There's a guy I watch a lot on YouTube. He's a financial planner, and he talks about all the time. Not everybody's a credit card person. For years, until my business, I would say, I was not a credit card person. I'm a cash person. When I see it coming out of my pocket, it's that brain like, oh, I earned this money and now I'm spending it. Is it worth it? Versus credit card is, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later. Eventually later shows up and slaps you in the face. So now I've acknowledged why I struggled. I've questioned it to get down to the root cause. I've challenged it to make sure it passes the sniff test, and now I change it. So in the example I say here is I never make responsible money choices. That may be true. That statement is not, we haven't dismissed it. At no point do we say dismiss it. We've acknowledged it. Now, here's the rule. We acknowledge it. We set a SMART goal and a desired end state. And so this is what it looks like. You go from a victim statement. I'm a victim of my circumstance. I suck with money. No one ever taught me financial planning. I don't make enough money. It's too expensive to live in this city. All these limiting self-beliefs, all these victim statements that people will use as excuses to not take personal responsibility for their lives, right? And now we transform it using this simple methodology into a victor statement. I used to prioritize spending, right? Because that was the root cause. In this case, it wasn't you had poor money choices. It's that you prioritized spending. You didn't prioritize saving. You didn't set yourself a budget. You didn't have a plan. So now what we'll say is I used to, that's the statement, and now a truthful adjustment, and now I will save 10% of my income so that Chris Kalinda, of a business coach I had, Army Colonel, wicked smart guy, Strategic Leadership Academy, reach out to him if you want to find out wicked smart stuff. He talks about so that are the two most powerful words you can use, because you talk about from where you are, where you want to go, so that I have more financial independence. And what we've done here is a simple method I came up with. I used to state the limiting self-belief. And now a truthful adjustment where we are now acknowledging truly what the challenge is, so that this is our SMART goal. The result that we are desiring to achieve. Often people will say, oh, here's my goal, and here's all the excuses and reasons why I can't achieve it. We need to flip this thing entirely around. What is your pain point? How do we transform that pain into passion to define your purpose? Your pain point can be something you're upset about, you're ashamed about. That's pain. That's the good stuff. That means you have an emotional response to what is going on in your life. And as a victor of your story, not a victim of your circumstance, you have the choice to do something about it. I want you to take the time here to look at your life, figure out what is a limiting self-belief you have now today. What is the truthful adjustment? Dig down a little bit deeper. What is the root cause of that limiting self-belief? What is the truth within that we still need to acknowledge? And then finally, so that, what result do you want to achieve? How are you going to get where you need to be in life? Because it's not about not acknowledging it. It's not about beating yourself about it. It's not about it's just saying, oh, I'm never going to spend another dollar on stupid shit in my life. You are, if money's your thing, right? If you're trying to lose weight, okay. Maybe you say, okay, 6 days a week, I'm eating clean. And one day I'm going to have a cheat day. That's what I'm doing. That's the plan. If that's the plan, that's the plan. If the plan is I'm going to walk 1 day a week, going from 0 to 1 day, okay. Now, is that going to get the result you want? Right? You have to have an acknowledgement of truth. Is it going to get you where you want to be? Once you have these three things lined up, the next time you find yourself using some bullshit excuse that we all tell ourselves, the next time that pops up, you have your victor statement ready to go. You have your battle cry you can yell out on top of a mountain or inside your head. And when you really want to get to the next level, you start using this as your mantra for life. You look yourself in the mirror every morning and you remind yourself who the fuck you are. You remind yourself why you're fighting so hard for what you want to get out of this world. When I talk about the 3 steps to success at life of doing the fucking thing, telling the fucking world, and showing the fuck up, it starts with you. What are you telling yourself about who you are and where you're going? Are you in control, or do you let others control you? Do you let your limiting self-beliefs control you, or do you let your destiny set as a guiding light and guiding principle? The choices are yours. The choices are simple, and they're all rooted in the words you use. Get out there this week and every week. Face it while you make it. Do the fucking thing. Tell the fucking world and show up. We'll see you next week.